The world-renowned astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson was in the house. Tyson talked with the team after their morning walkthrough, and the Seahawks were excited to hear what the man with nearly 6 million Twitter followers had to say. So what does astrophysics and football have in common? Well, probably more than you think.
There's no greater expression of the laws of physics than what goes on a football field. Spin stabilized projectiles, momentum, transfer, acceleration, deceleration, it's all there. Classical physics laid bare in America's favorite sport. So, that's all I could do is share the fact that they're not playing in a vacuum. There's laws of physics that operate on the field alongside them. The Coriolis forces of Earth that would normally make storms rotate counterclockwise are also at work in a kicked ball in a football stadium.
What a great thrill. You know, he's such an extraordinary person and a beautiful guy. He just mixed right in with our guys and had some fun with them and had lunch here and hung around, watched some of practice before he took off. I know he had a big event downtown, you know, most everybody knows of him and knows about him and all of that. And then when he just jumped in the middle of us and had some fun and told a couple stories and things. And fascinating person. We're very fortunate to have him around.
It's just great to see such musculature combined with grace and speed, something that you normally don't associate with huge men. And so just to watch this, it's ballet. It's ballet, but in helmets and shoulder pads. But it's nonetheless, you just see the art executed firsthand as the plays are conceived and executed.
Gary Gilliam, a self-proclaimed nerd, was one of the many Seahawks excited about the special guest and went to his lecture in downtown Seattle.
Yeah, I've actually watched all his episodes of Cosmos, a ton, you know, a bunch of his stuff on YouTube. You know, I have a huge interest in astronomy and, you know, all the stuff that involves that. So, you know, to be able to meet him, you know, one of the guys that's, you know, really at the top of his field, it was an honor.
Some of the players say, hey, can I get tickets for tonight? It's actually sold out. But we got to figure out how to do this.
You're gonna make some exceptions.
Yeah, we got to figure out a way because there's the home team, and you know we will part the seas to make this happen.
Last year, Tyson tweeted that the Bengals' game-winning field goal in overtime against the Seahawks was due to the Earth's rotation. So with the game at CenturyLink Field on the horizon, I was curious how the team could use the Earth's force to its advantage.
Your home field is oriented exactly north-south. Okay, so a 50-yard kick will deflect nearly a half an inch to the right. Whether you're kicking in one direction or the other, the same effect. So just keep that in mind. And I had a long talk with the kicker who was asking me how should he lay his foot on the ball and when should he spin the ball and when shouldn't he. So I had a private conversation with the kicker about this. So we'll see. Why don't you talk about my other football tweet?
What other
about
football
was
tweet?
it the Bengals? I forgot who it was about a year ago.
Yeah.
There's in overtime, after there was the exchange of ball, so now it's sudden death overtime. They kick a field goal from 50 yards, of course, as it must be, and 40 yards out plus the 10 plus the hiking distance. So it's like 52-yard field goal, and there it was. And if there's tense, right? Everybody's silent, and the ball comes up, and it careens off the left upright and goes in. For the win.
Wow.
And I said,
I remember this.
That's what I'm saying.
I remember this tweet.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm there and I said, wait, the angle of this, how long is it? So I checked the stadium on its configuration, what's longitude and latitude, and I said, I did a quick calculation, and I tweeted, the winning field goal in that game was aided by a 1/3 of an inch deflection to the right from Earth's rotation.
That is the nerdiest tweet I've ever heard in my life.
Here's the thing, because think about how many balls either bounce off the upright and go out or bounce and go in. And we have a round ball hitting a cylindrical...
Kind of,
well,
right?
Well, it's a curved surface. There are no flat surfaces on a football. That's what I mean by round, okay? And the goalpost is a cylinder. So you have a round thing hitting a round thing. Fractions of an inch matter.
We've had problems with kickers this year, missing field goals.
Why are they missing all the extra points?
They moved
Did the 10 yards make that much difference?
Right?
It's 10.
You're the goddamn scientist.
It's 10 yards. I think they were lazy. They got so lazy with the original extra point that no one paid attention to the angle, it just went through the uprights. If you take it back 10 yards, you could calculate how many of those kicks that were the 1 point extra point would have missed in its day. I don't think the kickers are less accurate. I think they have the same accuracy, but they got lazy kicking that close over all those years. Just take a look at those angles and put it back, and you'll see which ones would have missed.
Give one tip to Steven Gostkowski, the kicker for the Patriots, of how he makes sure to get that ball. Like, is it an angle he's attacking the ball at?
I don't know the air currents.
Right.
There won't be sort of northerly winds
right.
that will interfere with the ball.
But there's that damn rotation of the earth.
Yeah, and now I have to look to see what the orientation of the stadium is. If the stadium is oriented approximately north-south, you want to lean left by a fraction of an inch.
Hear that, Stephen?
Because the earth will then bring it back to the right for you.
Things space related. There is not a bigger name than Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Fans know the author and astrophysicist as the host of Cosmos, Spacetime Odyssey, and Star Talk. And he was in town last night to receive the Abraham Lincoln Leadership Prize.
It's out of this world, and we are over the moon to welcome Neil deGrasse Tyson to the show.
Good.
Yeah, you like that? We got good writers here on the show. Neil, thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thanks for having me.
So
I was up early.
Oh, yeah, and we are awake. We are alert. It's all for you,
You're
bud.
With us.
Oh, a quick thing. You were talking about dogs earlier and how they dress.
Yeah.
So just ask yourself, if dogs ran the show, how would they dress us? Okay, that's what the cosmic perspective does for you.
You are blowing my mind, and we are 10 seconds into this interview. So
that's what I'm just saying.
It has nothing to do with space.
I'm just saying.
So you got this award last night. First of all, an award named after Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, no. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Talk about it. What was that? What was it
Yeah.
about?
So I mean, I was new to the award and even to the Abraham Lincoln Library Foundation. It's a whole thing down there in Springfield, and they care about Lincoln's legacy in ways that, oh my gosh, more people should think this way.
Right.
And I guess every school kid goes there to visit some Lincoln, his home or whatever. So there's this prize, and this prize is given to people who, in their judgment, manifested Lincoln's legacy in some way or another.
Right.
And I'm the first scientist to get this award.
Oh, wow.
And perhaps as a reminder that Lincoln actually had something to do with science.
Right.
And in 1863, when he clearly had other important things to think about,
right.
He signed into law the National Academy of Sciences.
Really?
Which then, through to this day, we're charged with advising the executive branch and Congress of all the ways that science matters when you're trying to put policy together.
Wow.
And so somebody was paying attention to, I guess, stuff I do.
and that order has not been revoked yet under the current administration?
No, it's
still there
for
now?
Up to 6:32 in the morning.
Right. I want to quickly just ask you your thoughts on that. I don't want to get too political, but in terms of a science perspective, obviously that is on everyone's mind now. More scientists are running for office. Scientists are talking about marching on Washington. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, science... if you already know and you sort of run an enlightened government and you know that science matters, it gets funded and no one else has to think about it.
Right.
But the moment that gets threatened, people who do know what role science and technology plays in our culture, in our economic vitality, now we have to sort of actively put it forward and say, look, this is how that works, and here's why, and here's what science is. And so I see the March on Washington as just reminding people what science is in our lives.
Right.
So you said that science is important in policy, but it's also important in football, per your Twitter account.
You read my
Okay,
tweets.
so you have 7 million Twitter followers. It's crazy. So
That's a crazy number. It was 7 million Twitter followers. I wake up each morning and say, do you guys know I'm an astrophysicist? You still back out. Unfollow.
Yeah, exactly. You're a what? Okay, yeah.
Well, all the Bears fans now have a new quarterback. So
The
praying
Bears.
for a miracle hasn't worked. How can science help the Bears?
Well, yeah, so I tweeted a couple of times, but in a 50-yard field goal, depending on the orientation of the stadium, will deflect a third of an inch to the right because of Earth's rotation.
Are you kidding me?
No. What am I kidding? I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
That's amazing.
I will believe anything you say. So you could say anything, and I will go
Why
with it.
it's really, I got to be really careful what I say.
So everyone believes everything you say.
No, but I give a reason. I don't just preach the stuff. It's like, here it is and here's why. Okay?
Right.
So I would have just, if I was to do that, I would have said, it will deflect a third of an inch. I command it. No, the thing about science is we tell you how the stuff works.
Yeah.
But I want to. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so you took this amazing selfie, by the way.
What was that? Where?
Oh, come on, it's
With
one of the
Bill
best
Nye.
ones. With Bill Nye and the president. How did this come about?
Yeah, there it was. Yeah.
So I heard that Bill Nye taught you how to tie a bow tie.
Yes, he did. Wow. And I'm not good enough to just start each day doing it.
That's why you're wearing a tie. You stuck to the ties.
That was in the White House, and that was, we made it like an Obama sandwich right there.
That's a good one.
I have one of my other space ties on there. This one I like because you could eat like spaghetti sauce. It just becomes another nebula.
So I want to make sure that you're not extraterrestrial, you're human.
Right.
Is there a bad habit you have? Like, what would your wife say?
A bad habit?
Yeah.
Other than like leaving stuff around the floor?
Yeah. What makes you human? You're so good at everything.
Oh, no. I don't present myself. You see me at the way I do what I do best.
Okay.
Did you invite me on to talk about, lacrosse? No.
Pet dogs?
We didn't, as a matter of fact, no.
A quick aside, I was channel surfing one day, waiting for a movie to come on at the top of the hour. I had 15 minutes. I hit a football game, and they just ended the game at a tie, and they just started overtime. I said, that's about right. Let me just watch this. How bad could it be? After the necessary exchange of possession, it became sudden death overtime. And then one of the teams, Cincinnati Bengals, got within 50 yards, and they kicked a field goal. And the ball rotated up. It hit the left upright of the goalpost and went in. And I said, ooh, wait a minute. And I said, which stadium is this? What's the latitude? And I looked at the orientation of the stadium, I did a calculation, and then I tweeted. And I said, the overtime winning field goal by the Cincinnati Bengals was likely aided by a 1/3 of an inch deflection to the right imparted by Earth's rotation. People lost their minds. People. There are a lot of different venues in space where you can transplant sport. Often when people think in space, they think in a weightless environment, but that's not realistic. What's more realistic is playing a sport, say football, on the surface of another planet. And that would have different gravity. And when you have different gravity, then certain things that are familiar to us would have to be readjusted. So you would hit a baseball farther, you could throw a football more. You can, if you're on a planet that's rotating quickly, then projectiles get deflected left or right, depending on which direction they move, and depending on which way the planet rotates. It's called the Coriolis force. It's what creates the circulation of storms on Earth, why all storms rotate counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere. And that phenomenon can affect projectiles in sports if the stadiums are large and the ball is airborne long enough. So also, if you play a sport on the moon, there's the matter of like they need air to breathe. So they'd have to have oxygen tanks with them while they were running and performing. So there's some planets where they would have higher gravity than Earth, for example, which means everything weighs more. So if you're at the bottom of a tackle pylon, then everyone will weigh more than they would on Earth, and you could just get crushed. You just get flattened at the end. So they have to limit how many people pile onto a tackle so that you don't kill each person who carried the ball. I'm just saying. I guess I'm lucky that my chosen profession is astrophysics, because unlike so many other fields of study, especially academic fields of study, in my field we have a essentially completely transparent lexicon. So I don't have to translate anything, hardly anything. If I show you a photograph of the sun and you see spots on the sun, you say, what do you call those? And I say, we call them sunspots. I show you a picture of Jupiter. Oh, there's that red spot in the southern hemisphere of Jupiter. What do you call that? We call that Jupiter's red spot. There's this place where you fall in and you don't come out and light doesn't escape. What do you guys call that? Black hole. So I don't see myself translating anything. I don't have to. I celebrate discovery using all the language that is fundamental to my field. And what it means is to the person listening that they don't have to slog through, navigate through vocabulary to gain access to the interesting idea that's sitting on the other side of it. So let's take biology, for example, and they discovered deoxyribonucleic acid. Now, if you don't know biology, these are just syllables coming out of your mouth. Well, what is it? Well, it encodes the identity of life, and it's in the shape of a double helix. So fortunately, double helix, that's a word, and there's nothing else really that's a double helix. So that's kind of a translated term for deoxyribonucleic acid. But notice you spend all this time just getting through the word before you get to an understanding or a conversation about what it does and how it does it and why. So I'm lucky that my field does not have this lexicon challenge for the educator. But what I also do is I've come to recognize the obvious, that everyone exists with a certain pop culture scaffold that they carry with them. That's the definition of pop culture. So it's not everyone, but it's most people. There's a common base of knowledge that we can all reference. We all know what football is in America. If we know what we mean when we say football, what is baseball, who is Beyonce, who is Donald Trump, who is Hillary Clinton, what is the Capitol building. You know, there's things we just know as part of pop culture. Once I recognize that you are walking around with a pop culture scaffold, I can then clad that scaffold, if I think about how to do it, I can clad that scaffold with real and genuine science. And you will care about it because I'm attaching it to something that I know in advance you already do care about or already do know about. Just as a quick example, I was channel surfing, came across a football game that had just ended in a tie. They went into overtime. I had 15 minutes to kill before my movie came on. I said, I'll sit there and watch this overtime period. And I'm watching it, and there's the requisite exchange of possession before you go into sudden death overtime. So they get it to within 50 yards of the goalpost, and so they decide to kick a field goal for the win. And so I'm watching this. It's exciting, right? So then the ball gets hiked, the kick, the ball tumbles, and it heads towards the left upright, careens off the left post, and in for the win. And I said, wait a minute. Ooh. We have a round ball on a cylindrical thing, so fractions of an inch matter which way this will bounce off of a post. So I said, let me check this out. So I checked the orientation of the stadium, the latitude of the city, and I did a calculation, and then I tweeted. And I said, the winning field goal by the Cincinnati Bengals in overtime was likely enabled by a third of an inch drift to the right, enabled by Earth's rotation. And people say, oh my God, blow my mind. Oh, the local news got it, everybody got it. But just see what just happened there. So let's just see what happened there. I did not have to explain to you in advance what football is, what a 50-yard field goal is, what the goalpost is. I didn't have to explain any of that. You came to the table with that knowledge. And then I attached a relevant phenomenon in physics to it. And now these are forever connected within you. Of course you want to know that the rotation of the Earth helped that field goal kick. Because a kick going due north or due south will be deflected to the right in the northern hemisphere. And that's exactly what happened to that kick. And I use that as an excuse to send out a second tweet saying, by the way, we call this the Coriolis force, and that's what creates the circulation of all storms, hurricanes, tornadoes, what do they call them in the Pacific? Cyclones. And so I got to slip in a little bit of physics, earth physics, almost for free, without sitting you down and starting a lesson plan on the subject. That simply works. Now, what I need is I need a utility belt that I carry with me. And I say, oh, that's football. I should know enough about football to even go there. I need to know enough about Game of Thrones to comment on what's going on in a scientific way that you might find interesting. I need to know enough about these Olympic sports as they are being conducted, so if I comment on it, you will care because you care about the half pipe, or you care about the slalom skiing, or you care about the sprinters. I'm going to attach it to it. So, call it tactical, I don't know, but I have found that people like it and they come back for more, and I'm delighted to supply the body of science that I know in the package that you will receive without thinking like you're being lectured to, without thinking of learning something new today as a chore. And that dude who jumped out of a perfectly good balloon, what's his name? Felix Baumgartner, he would have been about 2 millimeters above the surface of this globe. That's his edge of space jump. Now, I don't, it's fine. He wants to, I don't have a problem if he does it, but the honesty of it would greatly diminish what I think people thought he was actually doing. And not only that, they made sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he said, wow, he's in space. Look at that. No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth if you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball. You just don't. That stuff is flat. That stuff is flat. That stuff is flat. will deflect a third of an inch to the right. Now is the time when I read to you tweets from pissed off people regarding the demotion of Pluto. This one is from Yonder Boy. In early 2006, Neil deGrasse Tyson accidentally blew up Pluto and has been trying to hide the fact ever since. I'm not authorized to comment on that one. This one from Scotologic. Neil deGrasse Tyson just had Pluto declared no longer a dog. Everyone's favorite planet. I don't care if they killed it. To me, Pluto will always remain part of us. Damn you, Neil Tyson. Interesting that you're getting that emotional about an object that's 1/5 the size of Earth's moon. Which, if it were swapped where Earth is right now, heat from the sun would evaporate its ice and it would grow a tail. What kind of behavior is that for a planet? Since Pluto is on its way to being a planet again, I can't help but feel that Neil Tyson is plotting something. Yeah, next is Earth. I'm going to demote Earth. Yeah, your worst nightmares are coming true. Neil deGrasse Tyson is like on the top of my list of role models and people I hate. Because of how amazing his mind is, and then the Pluto thing. WTF, Neil deGrasse Tyson? You're talking about our galaxy and don't include Pluto? I thought you knew what's up, man. I was probably speaking of the solar system, because the galaxy is way bigger than our solar system. And yeah, if I'm listing the planet, I'm going to stop at Neptune. I will. Get over it. Above my head, we have what are called the terrestrial planets. These are the planets that have surfaces you can walk on: Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. The moon is also shown there, which looks quite small, but something to know about our moon is that it's one of the largest moons in the solar system. So even most of the moons of Jupiter and Saturn are dwarfed by the size of our moon. We have an uncommonly large moon relative to us, in spite of how small that looks. So the point I want to make here is Pluto, we have history here with Pluto in this institution. Back in 2000, when we opened the Rose Center for Earth and Space, we were kind of the first out of the box to reassociate Pluto's identity from the company of planets to the icy, the dirty ice balls in the outer solar system, the Kuiper Belt. And so we were sort of raked over the coals by the press saying, and especially little kids, say, angry, pissed off third graders saying, how could you just because it's small, how could you do that? And they're thinking that size was an issue. And in fact, it had much less to do with size than you might imagine. If we just go to the next slide here, what do we have? So now we have the gas giants, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, relative to a segment of the sun. And then you get to see how small Earth is relative to the rest of the action there. Because Earth is included in this for scale. So here's a point I'll make, and I don't get to make this often enough, that Jupiter is bigger compared to Earth than Earth is compared to Pluto. Okay? I don't know how else to conjugate those verbs in that sentence, but does it make sense to you? All right? So in other words, if we're on Earth saying we're big enough to be a planet, but Pluto isn't, then imagine what Jovians could be saying. They're saying the solar system has only 4 planets: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, and everything else is just debris. So I'm certain all life forms of Jupiter are thinking exactly that way. So you can't invoke size exclusively to diss Pluto in this regard. But allow me to tell you that our moon, as small as it was compared to Earth, has 5 times the mass of Pluto. Yeah, some people over here, yeah. So Pluto lovers never were told that, were you? Right? Yeah, so just welcome to the company of informed people, all right, regarding Pluto. But we knew this. So Pluto had other issues. And so after some thinking about this, Pluto got demoted to a dwarf planet status on several grounds, one of which is that it orbits the sun in a region of the solar system where there's plenty of other stuff orbiting there, which in total dwarfs the mass of Pluto itself. So Pluto does not, how would we call it, own its orbital place in the solar system. It's shared with countless thousands of other icy bodies that rival Pluto in size and composition. So what we really discovered was that Pluto really never was the planet we wanted it to be. In fact, it just went 60 years before we had discovered its icy brethren orbiting beyond Neptune. And these icy brethren we've named for an astronomer at mid-century named Gerard Kuiper, who hypothesized that there could be this repository of excess debris that didn't participate in the formation of the rest of the planets. So Pluto is a very healthy Kuiper Belt object, but a really lame planet.
No, so fair enough. Okay, so one of them, the major one is obviously on a more conspiracy level. It's really, I don't know, hard for us lay people to debunk, stuff. I agree, it would be a grand deception with all those people orchestrating it. So, there's not much we can do about that from a sort of...
Oh, wait a minute. I've just thought of an amazing other one that okay. I'm very jealous. I'm very jealous of you and Chris. If you 100% believe that the Earth is flat with real conviction.
Yeah, it is.
And, right, are you ready? You can get a free flight. You can get a free flight to 65 to 70,000 feet in a MiG Fulcrum. Ooh, yeah. Because you can pay $14,000, and if you don't see the arc of the Earth, they give you your money back.
At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth if you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball. You just don't.
I think I'm going to see the curve of the Earth at that height. But if the world is actually flat, and I believed it was flat, I could absolutely take that, knowing full well that I'd get my $14,000 back or whatever it is.
Who's doing that?
I'll give you a link in a second.
Okay.
It's
but
fantastic.
Neil deGrasse Tyson says you can't see the curve from that high up.
I don't know what he said. All right, where are we?
They've divorced Neil deGrasse Tyson, wisely so. A lot of ballers, they've annulled that relationship.
Yeah, they think he's annulled that relationship. What does that even mean?
Because Neil deGrasse Tyson is an idiot.
Is he?
He's one breath away from saying something incredibly stupid. Always.
Wait a minute.
Wait. Is that the problem?
Yes, he's just a moron.
Yeah, and when you're in this MiG fighter, What shape is the glass that you're looking out of?
There we go.
Inside a MiG fighter.
Yeah.
You're going to be looking out at the curve. What are you going to be looking through?
The angle of incidence is pretty flat on a canopy because it's built that way, and they use varying depth for refraction to cancel out any distortion, because it would be pretty bad in a dogfight if you were shooting something that wasn't actually at that position.
Yeah. You've got targets, you've got other sights, you've got machinery to do that, yeah?
Except in this, it was built at a time where dogfighting was still a thing with machine guns built on it. So,
and that's what they want. That's what they want you to go up in one of those.
Yeah.
Dean, that whole proposition sounds shady, because obviously if people could do that, they would just record it. They would just show us. It's like, then it would be over.
They do. It's been on TV. James May of Top Gear went up in one.
Nice.
Steve-O did it. Steve-O went up in a Russian fighter or something, didn't it?
That idiot from Jack. Who is that guy? Tila Tequila says it's flat.
What the fuck did you just say?
Oh, well, who's Steve-O?
Is that really a statement you want to make?
Who's Steve-O? Is that a good source?
Oh my, really?
Steve-O? From MTV's Jackass series? That's the citation?
Yeah, that's their best proof.
All I'm saying is there's a video when Steve-O went up in a fighter, a Russian fighter or something. I'm not saying anything about it, just saying he went up.
Yeah, and Tila Tequila says it's flat.
Are you trolling right now? You gotta be trolling.
I'm batting idiotic statements.
I ain't trolling, bro. Come on.
You gotta be trolling. Just pick that one.
I ain't got time on my hands.
I don't even understand it.
If those flights were real, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have hangout.
They are real.
Well, no, you wouldn't be if you took one of those flights. Yeah.
No, I'm saying if those were actually real, somebody would have showed us the curve. It's not like we would be
Game over.
Yeah, they have. Though. That's the point. But you don't accept it. But there's your opportunity. There's your opportunity. Go to the website. There's loads of videos. There's your opportunity to actually get a free flight if you're correct, and that is amazing. And that's
so. What is that, Dean? I just joined. What is that?
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I posted it again. Wait a minute.
All right. Let me take a look.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, actually, it's Fly Fighter. Be easy.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, look. There you go. 72,000 feet. Wow.
Feet.
Yeah. That is awesome.
My mistake. James May did it in a U-2 spy plane.
Did it?
Yeah.
That's like 78,000 feet or 85,000 feet.
Apparently they got to about 70,000 feet. But yeah, there is film with him because obviously they have to wear spacesuits because the U-2 cockpit isn't pressurized.
Yeah.
But yeah, he went up to 70,000 feet and it's curved.
Hey, Dean, what's side chat? Because I don't see it anywhere.
Oh, so have you got a little sort of like on the bottom left of your Hangouts window, have you got a little sort of like speech bubble?
Yeah, I do, and then I click show messages, but I don't see anything, man.
I'll tell you what, I'll put it in the main chat in the YouTube thing.
Perfect. That'd be great. Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Not a problem.
See what this is all about.
I haven't got a wrench. Does that matter?
It might not let you put a link in.
Somebody wrench me, whatever that means.
Wrench me, baby.
Just tell me the name of it. I'll Google it.
Oh, it's just flyfighterjet.com, and it's the edge of space flight.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Edge of space.
Refund aspect. I see the cost of it, but where did you get that concept of the?
Crash told me it's a promotion that they were running. You probably still can do it though. It'll be here somewhere.
I think they started doing it because they needed the money. It was one of they were going through various ways of sort of making hard cash that wasn't the ruble being a particularly useful.
Right, yeah.
I think somebody came up the idea because they were getting into sort of the space tourism thing where if you're a multimillionaire you can go and train with the Russians for 6 to 8 months and then they'll send you up to the ISS.
Is this the one that Wolfie was promoting and said? He said like they'll take you really high up. All you got to do is pay. I think Wolfie mentioned that. Is this the same one that Wolfie was talking about?
Well, several people have done it. I think it was some sort of revenue generating idea that they came up with. They'd got these fighter planes sitting there, and they weren't using them, and they're capable of going that high. And I think some clever clog said, "Well, hang on, why don't we charge civilians? We'll put them through a bit of a safety training and all the rest of it. This is what you have to do if we've got to reject, sort of thing, and they'll take you up to the 70,000 feet because it's one of the few planes that can actually do it."
But did they ever actually promote it to debunk flat earthers?
No, I don't think so. No.
The intention. It was the fact that most people don't have that facility because obviously, airliners and things. I mean, the highest flying airliner was Concorde. So of course, that only went to 50,000 feet or something.
So why would they be saying you can get your money back anymore?
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of the one Wolfie was talking about. But then Wolfie had to release a video sort of retracting it because apparently the company stopped providing the service. So Wolfie had to put out a video saying that for some reason, they stopped providing it. I don't know if this is the same one or not. Might be a different company. I don't know.
Could be, yeah. I don't know. I mean, they started doing this, quite some years ago now. Yeah, because this article is entitled MiG-29, Your Last Chance of Edge of Space and Supersonic Flights in Russia. I'm not sure of the date of it. Can't see a date on there.
Right.
Why would they stop? Why would it be a last chance? Yeah, why would they stop, though? Why would it be a last chance?
Maybe it wasn't making enough profit. Maybe it was a liability issue.
I mean,
it's not cheap to fly these things.
No, one of the things is the Fulcrum now, the Fulcrum, the MiG-29, is an end-of-line product. So to get parts and repair it now becomes increasingly, it's not cost-effective to maintain. These guys would have to buy a new, Sukhoi, what is it, this Sukhoi Su-27 or something.
Something like that, yeah. I'm not up with Russian aircraft.
Yeah, the airframe only has a certain amount of time that you can use anyway.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You can change parts around, but the airframe itself, you can only swap out so many parts before the structure becomes compromised.
I've just read the list of what you do. I'm now not as up on it. So climb to a max altitude at nearly Mach 2. Okay.
Yeah.
That I could do. Rolls? No. Loopings? An S-split, a vertical dive, a tail slide.
Yes.
So that means the damn thing, they put it in a controlled stall and go backwards.
Huh?
I am
that sounds like fun.
No, it isn't.
Well, you'll basically suffer what they did to Jeremy Clarkson when they took him up in an F-15 and he spent most of his time puking his nuts up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he deserved it, though. He's a bit of a jerk.
They put it through the paces. It was basically, come on then, we'll show you what it can do. And say most of the time when they filmed him, he'd got the plastic bag stuck around his mouth and he was busy puking because, boy, can those things move, And it is, if you're not ready for it or used to it, your internal organs are going all over the place.
It's one thing to accelerate in a straight line. It's another one to do what an airplane does.
Hey, so was Neil deGrasse Tyson was he just wrong when he said that about 128,000 feet, or what was up with that?
Well, if you quote Neil deGrasse Tyson saying that, then you have to agree with what he says on everything else, correct?
No, God, you're so fucking stupid, Shawn.
You can't cherry pick quotes, man.
No, it's not cherry picking that he contradicts. It's not cherry picking that he contradicts four guys. When he says you can only see it 128
out of what one guy says, out of everything else he says, you pick one single thing and ride with it. That's called cherry picking, and it's called intellectual dishonesty.
All right, well, let me explain what I did, and then you can tell me if it's cherry picking. The reason I'm pointing out that the world's leading authority astrophysicist says you can't see curve from 128,000 feet.
Because it makes you money on t-shirts.
With a wide field of view is because you guys are now saying I can see it from half that height.
Because it makes you money on t-shirts. That's why you do it. It makes you money.
That's not
It
cherry picking.
makes you money. It is cherry picking.
That's not cherry picking. That's pointing out the contradiction in what you guys are saying with the authority himself, Neil deGrasse.
Well, Chris, he's not the authority.
You don't know what cherry picking is.
Wait a minute. The world's leading astrophysicist is not the authority on how high you have to be to see Earth curvature?
No, he's not.
Neil deGrasse. Wait. Who is the authority? Who is the authority?
Not him. I'll tell you that. He's just a TV person.
Are you telling me that you guys with no credentials are the authority?
No. But you're making money. You're making money off of cherry-picked quote, dude. You're red pill to pay the bill.
Now you're deflecting. I think the guy with
your red pill to pay the bill is obvious.
I think the guy with the moon icon. I think Menace, the guy with the moon icon, wanted to say something.
Yeah, I just want to clarify the MiG-29 flight thing. I've been following it for a bit. So basically what happened was they were offering these flights, and they had said somewhere you could see the curvature of Earth, and a flat earther, during some Twitter war, said space is fake and the typical rhetoric. They responded to the flat earther and said, we guarantee you can see the curve or your flight is free. Now, I don't know if you can see the curve from 70,000 feet or not. I've never been up there personally. But that company offering the flights during this Twitter war said that if you can't see the curve, we'll give you your money back. So that's where this whole thing stems from. It was from that company offering to give back the person's $12,500 or whatever the heck it was if they didn't see curvature.
And that's the Wolfie one?
Clarifying that.
And that's the one Wolfie mentioned?
Correct.
And that's called putting your money where your mouth is.
And now, apparently, according to Wolfie, who put up an update video, the company no longer offers those flights. So that's funny as fuck. But anyways, this is Shawn's latest thing. He uses the word cherry picking, and he thinks it's like this incredible debunking. It's not cherry picking, because I think by cherry picking, what you mean is taking somebody out of context. But I'm not taking him.
No, you don't know what cherry picking is. Cherry picking is isolating one quote that confirms your position and ignoring everything else that person says. That's cherry picking.
Shawn, what do you, Shawn?
When did I do that in regards to Neil Tyson saying you can't see curve from 120?
Because you deny curvature, you deny gravity, you deny everything else Neil deGrasse Tyson says except for that one thing.
No, he says you cannot see Earth curve from 128,000 feet. That's like the highest you can even send these little helium balloon cameras up there. So for all intents and purposes, none of us on Earth will ever get to see curvature.
So you're not denying that you're cherry picking.
As far as I'm concerned,
you cherry pick.
There is no
you cherry pick like an immigrant farmer, man. You cherry pick like an immigrant farmer.
You can say that for yourself, but you can't say that for everybody.
Against immigrants.
It's not a cherry picking, dude. He's calling that into question, so we reject everything else.
No, it is. He's isolating one quote and ignoring everything else he says. That is, by definition, the definition of cherry picking. Why are you denying this, man?
No, it's not.
Why are you denying that you're an intellectually dishonest person?
Because you're retarded and you know what you're talking about.
Okay, that's a great comeback there. Oh, you're retarded. You're retarded. That's a great comeback, man.
Hold on. Pointing out that you guys
that's a great argument. You're retarded.
Pointing out that you guys say you can see Earth curve from 70,000 feet, and then saying the world's leading authority, astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, says you can't see it from twice that height. That's not cherry picking.
I love cherry pie. I love cherry pie. Keep going.
Exposing a crisis.
Keep going. I love cherry pie.
That's exposing
cherry ice cream is good too.
Why
cherry turnovers. Those are awesome.
Why is Hawkins here? Why is Hawkins here?
I don't know why, dude. We were very calm, and then Shawn came in.
I don't understand why you only cherry pick one source.
It's not cherry picking. We're saying if that is wrong, let's discuss it. Then we'll dismiss everything else.
Here, let me explain why. Let me explain why I focus so much on Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay,
because
perfect.
You guys operate by consensus and appeals to authority.
No,
it's your guys'.
No, we don't.
No, we don't. You can deny it. You can deny it.
That's another logical fallacy. Straw man.
How you guys?
That's another logical fallacy. Straw man. And you're doing that right now.
Yeah, I've never used him as a source ever, so you can't say that ever. I don't use him as a source one bit. So
It's you guys.
Walking, talking logical fallacy, aren't you?
Listen, if you guys want to throw the world's leading astrophysicist under the bus because we got you in a contradiction,
I don't know
go
anything
ahead.
he
It's
said.
a victory
I
for
don't.
us.
That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing right now.
Cherry picking and logical fallacy is a win for you. That's all.
How about this? Let me ask this question.
Guys,
Let me ask this question. Was Neil deGrasse Tyson right or wrong about how high you can see curvature at? That's a question.
What?
Yes.
Was he right or wrong? Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Don't
right
care.
or
That's
wrong,
what he said. I don't care what he said. I don't cite Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Was he right or wrong when he said you can't see Earth curve from 128,000 feet altitude with a very wide field of view? Was he wrong or right?
They won't answer. They won't answer.
Let's see if the answer is a simple question. Was he right or wrong?
When did he say with a wide field of view? When did he say with a very wide field of view?
Okay, I'll go get it for you. You're gonna deny it like a coward.
No, I don't give a shit what Neil deGrasse Tyson says, man, because he's not an authority on it. He's not the authority that I cite. I cite the body of science over 2,000 years. That's what I
Who does he work for? Who does he work for?
I don't give a shit who he works for.
Come on.
Watching Globers
Probably has his own production. He probably has his own production company, right?
Guys. Yeah, wait a minute, guys. I think he works for national TV stations.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's got his own production company.
So here's the question: If you guys,
CBS, I think.
If you guys want to now propose this conspiracy theory that he's just an actor paid by the Illuminati or whatever the hell you guys are saying now,
no,
that's
actually,
fine.
No, he's a dude that talks science. That's what he does, and you cherry pick him like a motherfucker, dude.
Yeah, you need to understand that his job he's not in the middle of all these studies. He knows about them. He's reading about them. He's getting a lot of information. But his job, everything you're nitpicking, is what his job is to get on TV and give the general public a good assessment of what's going on. To have a good idea. That's his job. His job is not
to be in charge of the Hayden Planetarium.
Because he
Why
has.
does
That matter to what I just said.
The guy runs the Hayden Planetarium, but he's just an idiot because nobody's talking about.
What does that have to do with what I just told you?
Because he's not just a popularizer; he's working in the field of astrophysics, bro.
No, he's not.
What are you?
Oh, he's not.
No, he looks into.
No, he's a public figure, dude.
Yeah, he
may have worked.
He does.
You're telling me but he's a public figure.
Okay.
No, stop. Red pill. Hang on. Stop.
What?
You need to understand what happened is he studied under that. He knows a lot about it, and he took the profession of being able to get that out to the world, to the public, so they have an idea of what's going on. Just like a book, just like a movie, he has to compact a lot of information into a little small time and then get that out. He's not giving you all the details. He's not saying this is the fact of everything going on. Don't listen to no one
Shawn,
else.
that's the whole point. Let's unpack it now. He wanted to start a discussion. Why is it wrong? Help us understand. Take us through it.
No,
he's not giving you enough of the information to go on to run these debates like.
So number one, you're saying he's spreading falsehoods about the shape of the Earth.
What are you talking about? Wait.
No.
I'm telling you.
Can you see curve from 128,000 feet or not?
A layman's term.
Dude, drop it, man. You're cherry
from
picking.
128,000 feet or not.
Why do you talk like
that?
that?
Yeah, and there's gravity too, right? He said there's gravity too.
Running from.
And he said there's gravity as well, right? Right?
You
drop the mic. And gravity is real too. You have to be able.
They made sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he said, "Wow, he's in space. Look at that." No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth. If you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball, you just don't. That stuff is flat.
Arguably one of the most popular astrophysicists. He runs the show Cosmos, which is to spread science education. He's in charge of the Hayden Planetarium.
Quit bloviating. Ask the question. Quit bloviating. Quit preaching.
Stop interrupting, you fucking idiot.
Realistically, do you have any other sources? Any other sources that you can come with? Any besides him?
Well, the point is to show that the guy who's in charge of popularizing mainstream science for you guys, the world's leading expert.
Wait a minute, really quickly. Red Pill. Wait a minute.
Don't ask me a question if you don't want me.
What do you mean? What? What do you mean? You?
Wait a minute, guys. Yeah, let him finish.
I haven't even been able to finish Dean's question because you guys interrupt and ask me a new question, and then when I try to answer the new question, you interrupt me. So calm down, guys. I know that pointing out internal contradictions in your cult of consensus is destructive to the globe, but hang in there, right? So Dean's question, the world's most popular astrophysicist, he's in charge of the show Cosmos, or he's at least the host of it. He works for the Hayden Planetarium, which literally you can go there and they like teach you fucking science. I mean, it's an educational establishment, okay? It's ridiculous. The notion that Neil deGrasse Tyson is just a popularizer.
No, just ask what's the question?
Okay. All right, so the simple question is this. Can you or can you not see Earth curve from 128,000 feet with a very wide field of view, which is exactly what Neil deGrasse Tyson was referring to in his speech?
Right, so I've got a short answer to that, and then I want you to just give me like 30 seconds. So the answer is yes. Now, the long answer to this is, believe it or not, Neil deGrasse Tyson might be a celebrity where you are, but I can pretty much guarantee you that if you are a little bit more worldly, like looking over here in the United Kingdom, I had to look at what his profession was just now. I've heard it many times, but I couldn't have told you that he was an astrophysicist. I have seen him on a show once on Netflix. I've got a short answer to that, and then I want you to looking at a show like 30 seconds. So I know there's a coloured guy, a little bit of weight, and the long answer to this is I associated that with him, but he's not popular over here in any way, shape, or form. Where you are. In answer to your question, but I can pretty much guarantee you that if you are a little bit more worldly, like 20-degree field of view, you can do that at that height. Yes. Okay, now, great. A really interesting question is what a better question actually that I've answered is at what height would you have to be to see it with your naked eye? And it's a lot higher because of our field, the detail part of our vision and our field of view. With a wide-angle lens, you're taking a photo, and you can study that photo and detect curvature. But when you're looking out a plane window and stuff, I think it depends on the individual, but you have to be higher than that.
No, it'll be made obvious on the way up, right? The height, like the progression from surface up, that's where we would be the most evident, correct, Dean?
But hang on. This is kind of a distraction. Hang on, this is kind of a distraction. Unfortunately, we have to talk about Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm just going to share my screen real quick.
Let me just ask one more time. Let me ask one more time. Do you have any other sources besides Neil deGrasse Tyson?
All right, so give me 1 second because I just need to. Okay, I'm sharing my screen for you guys here, real quick. All right, just real quick. Okay, Neil deGrasse Tyson's Twitter profile, astrophysicist. Astrophysicist.
No, come on.
One word.
Oh
astrophysicist. Okay, so guys. So the world's most popular astrophysicist.
You don't have no. Just say I do not
have.
The guy
pushing your model.
I do not have.
I've got a question,
John. He doesn't have shit. He knows it.
Wait a minute. I've got a question, Red Pill.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got a question, Red Pill. Does being the world's most popular make him an authority or correct?
If you guys think he's wrong,
yes or no?
Why do you let him
yes or no? This is not insinuation.
Why do you let him around on TV representing your model?
This is not an insinuation. This is a question to you. Does him being popular or him being the most popular make him an authority or correct? Yes or no?
Well, he must be an authority in somebody's eyes if he is put on the show Cosmos to spread science education.
So do you have any evidence of that?
Hang on, runs the Hayden Planetarium, tours around the world, educating people about science. Listen, if this guy's going around spewing lies about your model, why aren't you guys up in arms to go against anti-science people like Neil Tyson, who says...
Because I've only ever seen him once.
Oh, you've only never seen him once? Well, I mean, the guy is...
that was like for 30 minutes on this...
13 million followers. 13 million followers. 13 million followers on Twitter.
Can I ask you a question, please?
Funny how flat earthers are the only ones cite him.
Plays a big role.
Red Pill. Can I ask you a question, Red Pill?
Kind of plays a big role in stuff.
Red Pill. Can I ask you a question?
He hit with the top of his head.
But look, the fact that you guys are
Red Pill.
this guy
Hey,
under the bus,
hey, Red Pill.
it's
Can I ask
a
you
massive victory.
Can I ask you a question?
For glove skeptics.
Red Pill. Can I ask you a question?
And I know that it must be tough for you guys to have to
Red
throw
Pill.
four leading
Can I ask you a
under the
question?
bus.
Red Pill. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can I?
It's already destroyed. You guys are done.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
This is all secondary.
Okay. Thank you. Can I see another source besides Neil deGrasse Tyson? Because all people that are listening, I would think logically have more than one source that they stick to or don't stick to than like you are with just the one. So I need to know where your information is coming from a very, very short, here you go informational span, or like, like real publications and real documents that actually read out to 200 to 300 pages that you may have to read through most of them. Yeah. Are you willing to be doing that? Or are you looking for magazine clips about what's going on?
Well, sure. Well, if you have half a brain, which I'm going to assume
I've already told you now, I do not use Neil deGrasse Tyson as a source. So everything you're saying about him, I have no clue. I've never even heard because I don't listen to him at all.
I want to answer your question, but okay. So if you have half a brain, which I'm going to assume you're a smart guy, I'm assuming you're a really smart dude, then you would know that the reason I'm bringing this up is to show contradictions in consensus, which is how you guys operate, which you will deny.
No, you're cherry picking. Look up the definition of cherry picking and quote mining. Do that.
So yeah, there you go. And that's the reason I point out Neil deGrasse. He is an authority. He is somebody people go to. He's got many tweets about how
you made it very clear that you go to him. I don't go to him. So let's talk not Neil deGrasse Tyson, because everything you're saying about him, I have no idea about. I've never even seen it. I've never seen his Twitter. I've never seen his Twitter. Listen. Stop.
Deal to authority, right?
Waiting right now.
You're appealing to authority. Hey, bring up the definition of cherry picking and quote mining there, Red Pill. Bring that up. You're flashing stuff on the screen a lot. Bring those definitions up.
Let's check this out.
What is
I don't understand what your problem is.
Neil deGrasse Tyson from
I asked you a simple question.
Honorary degree.
Can you provide me with a source besides him?
He's just a celebrity.
Yes.
Why are all these academic
credentials? Sean. That's all he's doing. He's preaching.
And the funny part is that it's very obvious. Very obvious.
Yeah. Listed here for just a popularizer.
I guarantee you, the average fucking flat earther has more than one source. Do you have another source?
No, he doesn't.
This is you just doing some weird thing. It's not necessary.
Preaching.
It's really not.
Oh yeah.
It's really not necessary.
Like I said a moment ago, Sean, I was going to assume you had at least half a functioning brain.
So
no.
You don't bring up the definition of cherry picking and quote mining.
Why can't you show somebody?
Because it proves he's intellectually dishonest.
To point out contradictions
show
and consensus.
a different source
So
besides him.
Sean G, tell us, what is the height then that can be observed with the naked eye? Tell us, educate us. Go.
I have no idea, but I can
leave it at that. We can't validate.
I can look it up, and I can look it up and have 3 or 4 sources, and I can tell you exactly what that height would probably be with 3 or 4 sources.
Are they in agreement?
One source.
Are they in
agreement? Can I ask you guys a question?
No, I guarantee you, a lot of them will be just here, a little bit there, but none of them will be
Sean,
one
you love to
source
fight against
from
the
that.
disinformation. You love fighting against disinformation that flat earthers put out. But do you fight against the disinformation?
Wait, do I? Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that?
Do you fight against the disinformation?
Wait a minute. Are you serious? Have you ever heard in your life heard me live stream Red Pill? Seriously, have you? Have you ever heard me
what are you going to do about falsehood?
Have you ever heard me live stream?
Sean G, he's asking, where's the intellectual accountability on the baller side? Why is there
exactly?
Okay, how about this? Mind of God. Am I like all the Globers that just deny everything? Mind of God. Hang on.
Yep.
Am I like all the Globers who just deny all conspiracies and think our government loves us to death? And our media is.
You're much better. You're the best. You're the nicest Sean on this panel. 100%.
We're not talking about conspiracy.
So Red Pill, just before you stereotype me because I think it's a globe, trust me, that's not going to work with me. That's why I asked you.
It doesn't matter.
Is another source
it doesn't matter.
you have?
We don't care about the other conspiracies you entertain, so you can come off as like you're semi-woke.
I knew you would do that. That's why I wanted to make it clear that you're wrong. And here's the thing.
What's funny is you don't understand.
I just realized how
contradictions and
pointless everything you say is.
Why? You only need half a brain to understand that.
You can't show another source. You cling to Neil deGrasse Tyson like you love him to death.
Contradictions.
Guess what?
You don't understand.
No one else gets information from him. And
are you really that fucking stupid?
Everything he says is gold.
It's the only bullet in his belt, man. It's the only bullet he has in his gun.
Contradictions and consensus. You don't
it's
understand.
Cherry pick quote mine from Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's all he's got.
They don't understand contradictions and
consensus. That's his only weapon. And he's been exposed as being a cherry-picking, quote-mining, intellectually dishonest
you guys don't understand contradictions and consensus. That's fine. You're too stupid. You guys want to throw Neil Tyson,
and you're quote-mining, intellectually dishonest fuck, dude. And you know it. You know it. You've got nothing. You've got nothing. And you know it.
Go ahead.
You know you have nothing. Hey, Red Pill, put up the definition of quote-mining and intellectual dishonesty and cherry picking. Put those on the screen.
Anyways, now that you guys
put those things on the screen, Red Pill. Put those definitions on the screen and expose yourself as being the intellectually dishonest, bitch-made, punk-ass coward you are.
Dude, now that you guys admit that there are contradictions in your
you're a fucking piece of shit, Red Pill, and you know it.
Now, if you guys
know it. You know it.
Let's go into
know it.
Shawn, you're just a chaos agent. Now, let's go into science. Let's not worry about the contradictions in your guys' consensus, which is funny as hell. You had to throw Neil Tyson on the bus, head of the Hayden Planetarium, where they teach kids about the nature of the Earth and the universe.
By the way, wait a minute. You left one category of people out there, and that's people that don't watch him, don't actually know who he is, and he's not on their regular broadcast. Because I just want you to stop thinking that everybody lives in the United States and you are the center of the world. You are not.
13.3 million followers, been on many late night TV shows. He's got a show on Fox called Cosmos, which is
great. I don't get Fox.
Resurrection of
never sets on the British Empire.
So you guys have science shows on mainstream television, but apparently
not with him. Not with him.
Apparently, the guy who hosts the mainstream science show doesn't know anything about what he's talking about. You guys throw him under the bus. This is a massive defeat for you guys. So let's just move on because it's embarrassing.
Flat Earth won.
Hang on, Shawn.
Extremely embarrassing for a cherry-picking, quote-mining piece of shit.
Here's the thing.
Another point.
I want to make this clear. Hang on. Let me make this clear. Hey, Red Pill. I'm going to ask this again, and I'm not. The next time, see this logo that says Truth Army right here? This is probably the only question you're going to hear from this logo, no matter where you ever see it. Can you give me another source besides Neil deGrasse Tyson, please?
Yeah, if your consensus contradicts, that's a devastating point on its own, and I love it. I'm going to ram it home down your face every time you're here asking me, and I'm going to love it to the day I die.
Oh my God, wait a minute. Did someone else ask a different question then? Because that wasn't the answer to the question.
Show me.
The point is that if anybody else who disagrees, that's the point.
He can't answer any questions because he's got nothing.
Listen, that's not really my point. But
and I want everyone, Shawn. Here's something that everyone needs to hear. Everyone who listen, hang on, Red Pill, stop. I think everyone who's listening right now, whoever listens to Red Pill, needs to understand this. Until he has a different source than Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's a fucking joke.
Anyways, let's move on.
Show me. That's all you have to do. I'll give you all the respect in the world, Red Pill, if you show me a different source right now.
Shawn, Truth Army, whatever your name is, the only people who actually think you just made a good point are atheist cult members who are stupid.
Are you sure about that?
And I don't.
Mind to God. Did I give a good point just now?
No, I'm telling you the point that I'm making at least is if there is somebody else. Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point. Then you can address.
Am I asking for another source? Am I asking too much?
Yes, I'm telling you. There's another point. 1 second. There's another point built into what you're asking. You're asking us to go and find a supporting point for one of your religious priests, and then if we did that, we would then reaffirm the point, and we would need to discuss whether it's true or not. If we can't find one, and there's 4 different heights that this curve can be seen, that's another point against the ball Earth. Do you understand what I'm saying?
They don't understand how.
Understandings. No. Why are there 4 or 5 different heights?
Okay, okay. Let me ask you this, mind of God. You've looked up information. Say for the things that you believe in. Do you kind of like see if your information works with other information from a different source?
Shawn, the only thing we're saying is you should be lecturing Neil Tyson.
He doesn't get it. It's called
you should be lecturing Neil Tyson what you're trying to tell us. You should be going to him with that.
It's consensus contradiction. He doesn't.
No. I'm asking.
He's too fucking stupid. He doesn't understand what a consensus contradiction is.
Shawn G, you have to go to him and say, where are you getting this information? This goes against the consensus, or where is your support for that number? You should be asking him.
I can go to more credible sources that give you more of a detailed information or detailed description of what's going on, which Red Pill obviously doesn't have at all.
Then go to Neil Tyson and his people and ask, why are you stating this number that's incorrect? That's all I'm saying.
No. It doesn't matter if it's incorrect or not, because the details of whatever observation that's been made isn't being given to you in a detailed way by Neil deGrasse Tyson on his little TV shows and interviews. You need to understand, Red Pill, there are other sources that we get our information from, and he is not one of them for a lot of people.
I know.
So if you're going to come at me with an argument, don't use him, because I can give a shit less what Neil deGrasse Tyson has to say.
Let me give you an example, Pseudo Truth Army. A few months ago, mainstream science consensus came out and said that the new number, the new distance for how far the Earth's atmosphere extends out from Earth, is now many hundreds of thousands of miles further than they originally thought.
That's 50-year-old knowledge, man. That's 50 years old. They didn't just come out with it. It's been known for 50 years. We photographed it in Apollo. Okay? So what's your point on that?
Let me finish. Before this new consensus number came out, where it was publicized and everybody knew it.
It wasn't a consensus number. We measured it. We measured it, dude.
What?
Red Pill.
We measured it. It's been measured. It's been quantified. It's not consensus, you idiot.
You don't understand my point. Let me finish.
No, you're fucking freaky, man. You love to hear your own voice. That's all you do. You talk for 20 minutes and don't say anything because you love your own voice. You're like a chicken playing chess. You strut around on the board like you're a big deal. You pick all the pieces off, and then you crow like you won.
I've definitely got a question about Neil deGrasse Tyson. 2 seconds.
Yeah, let me just finish what I was saying before Shawn rudely interrupted. Before the new number, consensus number came out.
No, wait a minute. The consensus is wrong. Well, don't use consensus then. Don't use consensus.
Before the new number came out, Mr. Pseudo Truth Army there would have defended that original number as if it was the truth. And then now that the new number is out, he's going to defend that number as if it's the truth. It's called a consensus cult.
Wait. How do you know what I'm going to defend if you have no idea what I would defend yet? We haven't had a conversation. No. We haven't had a conversation. We have not had a conversation where you know any sources that I even have enough for you to make that conclusion. I can tell you right now, the conclusion that you've come to that Neil deGrasse Tyson knows everything, I think it's complete crap.
Can I ask a question about Neil? Being someone that doesn't know Neil deGrasse Tyson, I just want to ask Red Pill a question. Did Neil deGrasse Tyson say the following words? What was it? 120,000 feet. You can photograph it with a camera, a wide-angle camera. Did he actually say something like you?
I'll tell you what he said. He said that the Red Bull jump, which was at 128,000 feet. You guys are familiar with this, correct?
I've seen Red. We do get the Red Bull channel in the UK.
Right. Red Bull jump. I mean, not channel.
No, it was shown on that channel anyway. So yes.
Right. So the Red Bull jump. So Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about the Red Bull jump. He says, he mentions Felix Baumgartner, the Red Bull jump, and how you can see people were getting all excited because you can see the curvature of Earth from 128,000 feet, and he's like, you see in the photos. I mean, I could just play it for you guys, but
No. I've seen it. I wasn't looking at the curvature at that time.
So the point is that he specifically mentions the jump, which was at 128,000 feet altitude. That you can see curvature in the cameras attached outside of the pod. The only ones you can see curvature in, by the way. And which these are just cameras. I mean, presumably they're fisheye lenses. That's what Neil deGrasse Tyson says. It's a wide angle lens that, quote, curves horizontal lines. And so the only reason you can see curve, according to him, at 128,000 feet is because of the lens distortion. And then he goes on to say that you don't see the curvature of the Earth at 128,000 feet altitude. And then he goes on to say that that stuff is flat. I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah. Now, can I respond to that? Because that is interesting to me. Because I asked myself that question without knowing who Neil deGrasse Tyson was, and I evaluated it myself just based on building a model of it and having a look at field of view and all that kind of stuff. And I honestly came up with the figures for the human eye to see it.
We can hear you.
I can hear you. I looked at the figures and I came up with, to definitively see it with a human eye, I'd have to be at 22 kilometers, possibly a bit less. It depends on how well your perception can see 3 degrees of curvature or something like that. But to see it with a camera with 120 degree field of view, you don't have to be high at all. It was about. It varies in between like 14,000 to 20,000 feet, where if you get, it depends on the angle of view as well. But for a scientist to say at this distance with this lens and not give you either focal length or field of view to say you can detect curvature, or even what lens it is, whether it's a rectilineal or whether barrel distortion maps were applied to straighten it out, a scientist doesn't do that. That's him acting for entertainment. In my view, not that I saw that, not that I know who he is.
Scientists can think all kinds of stuff, most of which will be wrong. Okay. Even in the published journals, most of what's in the journals will eventually be shown to be wrong. Okay. Now, scientists can think all kinds of stuff, most of which will be wrong.
Neil, how's B.O.B.? Are you guys gonna be friends or what?
Oh, yeah, I missed you guys the other day. We were supposed to go live.
I know. Are you guys gonna be friends or what?
Yeah, I think, as an educator, I don't blame him. I blame his science teachers.
Yeah.
I blame the educational system that created a state in which people end up thinking that way.
Yeah.
And So that's what I'm trying to improve here.
Yeah.
The state of education in the country.
Well, do you plan on working with him, maybe educating him a little bit?
Yeah, if he's open to it, but if he doesn't want to, I can't chase everybody down who's got crazy thoughts that are 4 centuries old.
Will you make a return album or song?
That's my rebuttal diss. I didn't make that. My nephew, he's a rapper. So I went to him and I said, look, what do I do here? Because I showed him the diss and he said, we got to make a diss back at him. So he yesterday morning created this like diss track.
Yeah.
And so I'm an astrophysicist.